Hello, welcome to Georgia Girl Griddling, also known as G3. The grill is open. We're ready to cook tonight, so we're going to do a steak and cheese with some onions. We're going to put some Angelo seasoning, which I'll tell you a little bit more about that when we get ready to start doing the prep and such. So if you think a steak and cheese with onions sounds good, stay tuned. Welcome back. We got the groceries here that you can see. This right here is the shredded or thinly sliced ribeye. Then we have two small onions I cooked up. One large will be about the same equivalent. Then we have my hoagie bun it didn't feel right, so I didn't use hoagie. I went with this butter bread. And I also buttered the bread on both sides. A lot of people like to use mayonnaise, and I do. I'm okay with it, but my spouse doesn't like the mayonnaise, which you really can't taste it, so I'm not sure why. But that's why we don't use the mayonnaise. I've got about 4 tablespoons of butter right here, and that's going to be for the steak to grill it in. And this is the oil we'll use to cook the onions in, and this is the seasoning that I told you about. And I'm going to put that a little bit closer so you guys can see it. It's called Angelo's. It's a place where for going on 60 years I've gone to Panama City Beach. Any of you who are watching that's been there know exactly what I'm talking about, because more than likely you've eaten at this restaurant, and if you have, you know their food is delicious. And their ribeye steak is one that's probably known all around the world. It's fantastic. This seasoning you can put on anything, chops, chicken, steak, whatever. They use it on their steak, and I use it on all of the above that I mentioned. But then what you do is you squeeze a little lemon on it, and it activates the seasonings in it and make the flavor even better. Doesn't taste like lemon juice, it tastes better. I didn't have a lemon, so I'm not going to be doing that today. But one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is work with what you have in your house. You can make it happen, a griddle cook with just about anything, because you can cook just about anything on the griddle. So I'm going to get ready to start cooking the onions. So I'm going to move the camera right over here. Whoops, now you can see me a little bit. And I'm going to move it over here where you guys are going to be able to see the grill. And we're going to get started on this. I'm probably going to keep it down just a little. Just make sure I've got everything in you guys' view. And then we'll get started. First, I'm going to put down a little bit of oil. First, I'm going to check my temperature. This is a Blackstone ultraviolet ray that can take a temperature with this without putting the probe in. It also has a probe as well, but you don't need the probe to check your grill top. You just check the IR, and you hold it down. And right now we're looking at 474. I hadn't been on 5 minutes even. The grill's on, so 474, 492, 498. We may need to cut it down just a hair, but you do want to get a quick sear on your steak, so it'll have a good crispy outside and a good moist inside. All right, so let's get started by laying down a little bit of oil right here. Put the onions on there. So what is everybody else having for dinner tonight? What do we have? You know what I'm having tonight. So tell me what you're having. And I'm going to put a little Angelo seasoning on these as well. There. A little bit of this. Oh man, the smell. It smells great. And I'm not going to bore you guys with having to watch this entire thing with me grill the onions, because you guys by now probably know how to do that. So I'm going to get these about halfway cooked and get ready to put our meat on. And before we put the meat on, I'll be right back. Give me just a few minutes. Hello everybody, we're back. As you can see, the onions are about more than halfway done. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to lay down the the shaved steak. I'm going to use butter, but butter has a high heat point. So what I do is first I lay down a little of I think this is olive oil in here, I believe, or I can't remember what I had in here last, but I'm going to put a little bit of that down first. And I'm going to put the steak down, and then I'm going to put the butter on top of the steak where it goes into the steak, but it doesn't burn as quickly because we don't want it to heat up and burn because it wouldn't taste good then. We'll go right here to start out with, and we're going to move these onions over a little bit because they're getting done. Spread this out a little bit. Put it in that onion juice too, the juices from the onion. And then we'll take it and we'll plop it down on there. Don't suggest that for everybody because that might get you burned. So I'm going to separate that up, spread it out, give it more surface area. More surface area means it can get crispy, and so I'm going to tear it apart a little. We'll probably add a little bit more seasoning to start out with so we make sure we have enough. And we're going to put our butter on it so that butter can melt down on this. And there we go. Stir up the onions just a little bit. And I have both my eyes. I have the first two on, and then I have them on probably low high or a medium high. I don't have them turned all the way up. We're going to put a little bit more seasoning on here. A little on our butter as it melts down. And then it'll be about good here soon on those onions. And I like mine good and brown. Not everybody likes them that way, but I do. So, and you want to leave this down where it's on that one side where you can get a good sear and as much of that butter and love there that it can possibly get. And then we'll flip it. You got a good amount of the butter underneath it. Just kind of tossing it around to kind of get in different areas. And then you kind of move this back a little bit more towards the onions because that's the warmer spot. And we want to get our hot spot so we can get this butter melted and the steak seared. So give me about 2 minutes and we'll come back. We'll turn this together. And then we'll start laying the buns on to brown, and then we'll build the sandwiches. All right, just a moment. All right, it's been about 2 minutes, and we're going to get ready to turn this. I went ahead in the meantime, and I put the buns on. They're on a side that's not turned on, and that's because that way they won't get toasted so fast, and they'll be staying warm while we're still finishing up the meat. Also, the onions are done, so we can take them and move them over to the side of the grill that's not on. By the way, just for those of you who haven't cooked before on a Blackstone yet, even though you have this side off, it still gets hot. This is hot over here. This is warm. I wouldn't want to touch it with my hand. Let me see what these buns are doing. They're getting warm. And so they should get brown pretty quick. You can kind of slide them over a little bit now to the side where there's more heat. And then we'll flip those. Don't have much longer. I don't like to cook the meat well done. It dries it out. It's not any good. So I like to cook it to about a medium well when I do these. Typically my steaks, I like to cook to medium. So we're going to give this about another minute. We're going to come back and we'll be turning the buns and building the sandwich. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. We've got the buns are just about done. This one's still not quite brown enough. These are not. We're still trying to get those brown. Turn that back on right there. Get that one turned on. Yep. Try to get it going. And I'm going to get the meat set up for the second sandwich. Typically, you'll see people do this long ways like they do when they make Philly cheese sandwiches. And instead of like I'm making it, but I'm doing it like this because I'm using a square bun. I'm not using a long bun. And there's plenty left over. Delicious. You gotta love it. I'm gonna get the cheese for this one. And it'll begin to melt. Good stuff. Trying to get them brown. I'm going to put that over that. And then we can flip it off. And this one got perfect. Perfect. Now we can go over that. See what we got here. That one's going good. Let's move this one up. This one's almost ready. I forgot to put the onions. I'll flip them and put the onions. This is real time. Get this over here to help me. Alrighty. And hold it with my hand and flip it over. Put these few pieces back on there. It's mine. I can put my hands on it. Okay, now, I'll do the same thing with this one. Put that there. I'm going to flip it over. Oh, look at that crispy piece. Oh, woo-hoo. And we're going to get some of the onions. I got to need my tongs for that. I'll get my tongs, put a little onion on there. That's great. Perfect. Good stuff. All right. So what we're going to do now is check and see if these lids these are brown. I think that one's ready. Going to put it on with the pretty side. And this is pretty much ready. And let's see how this one's doing. Oh yeah, better now. So we'll get the underside done. And then we will take them in. And we'll see how they actually taste. We already tasted a piece of the meat, and we'll try another piece. Great stuff. Let's see if my dog likes it. Hazy, come try a piece. Here, go ahead. Eat. That's a good girl. That's Hazy. So, she's my mascot. When we get them inside, I'll show you a picture of the finished product, and then we'll taste them and give you our honest opinion. All right, I'm back. Wow, that was one fantastic sandwich. Would I recommend it? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes. The one thing I would do different is instead of buttering both sides of the bread, I wouldn't butter but one side. The side that the meat was going to go on, I would leave it just toasted but not buttered. I also use salted butter. So for those of you who don't like a lot of salt or can't do a lot of salt, then you would probably want to use either the mayonnaise or use unsalted butter. So the meat, perfect. Cooked to perfection, tasted perfect. I pulled out some of that butter, so I would say I probably used about 2.5 teaspoons of butter. So if you cut it on the lines that are on the butter, use 2.5 of those. And if you do that, that'll be plenty of butter in your meat. And the cheese was perfect. I used provolone and I used Swiss cheese, one of each. Gooey, stringy, it had melted really good. If I had a comparison to what this was like, since I had to put it on the butter bread I had, would be a patty melt. And I had rye bread. Didn't even think of that I could have put it on the rye bread. My intentions this morning when I started out were to do a steak and cheese with onion and peppers. And I didn't have the pepper. So I said, okay, well, I'll do this on just onions, steak and cheese and onions on the hoagies. Well, then I discovered the hoagies were not good. So I don't need to be buying up so much, but I have been because of all the COVID and the food not being there. I've actually bought more than I need sometimes, and some of it's going bad. Naughty on me. I shouldn't do that. But I made do with what I had, which is what I suggest you guys try to do when you're trying to decide in the morning or late afternoon what you want to cook on your griddle. But this was delicious. It tasted just like a patty melt, minus the rye bread. But butter one side of the bread, not both, and use 2.5 teaspoons. That would be the change. If you want to know what I used and all, I'm going to put it in the section below, so you can look, and it'll be there what I used, and even where you can get it, because the meat came from Trader Joe's. Usually I get it at Publix, so you can't find it at Walmart usually. But if you want to use just a regular ribeye steak, take it and put it in the freezer for about 20 or 30 minutes, and then get it out, and that makes it a little bit easier with a really sharp knife to slice that meat and get it in thinner slices for you. It won't be just like this, but it'll be much thinner than putting a hunk of steak on there. So I would give this 4 out of 5 stars. Some of the 5th was just things falling through on me, and the prep. So hopefully you like this, and I hope that you'll like and share, and that you'll share it with your friends. I'd really like to build this channel because there's not many women, none. Actually, I think I've seen one on there besides Blackstone Betty with Blackstone, but just women on there, or women on even the pages, the Blackstone pages. A lot of those on Facebook, there's more men than there are women. So if you can, like, share, and share it with your friends so they could maybe like, share. Also, hit the bell. That'll notify you whenever I do new videos. My goal is to try to do one a week. I would love to do more than one a week, and if I do, I will definitely post them and what I'm doing. So thank you again for coming, for watching, and for staying with me till the end. And I hope you join me again in the next video. Bye-bye.